Hey guys, welcome back to Benai's Interviews, and today I have with me Josh. So Josh, tell us about yourself and what you do.
So I work for a recovery community organization called SOS. I am a criminal justice peer recovery specialist. So what I do is I help people that are in recovery that are involved with the criminal justice system. So if they're on probation or parole, or if they're part of drug court, or if they're part of community corrections as a whole. I help navigate their recovery, and I live in Exeter. I have a girlfriend, and we have kids, and they're great. And I yeah, I'm just that's really me in a nutshell.
So how did you start working at SOS?
Well, I originally went to SOS looking for help. I'm a person in recovery myself. So I was at a point in my life where I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so I was looking for some kind of resources to help me with my recovery. So I wandered into SOS originally. And then so I started just going there and using their services, receiving services from them. And then from there, I started volunteering. And then they were doing an AmeriCorps program. So I joined that AmeriCorps program and did a year of service through that. And then through that, I did a lot of on-the-job training. And then I applied for the position that I have now, which is the criminal justice peer recovery specialist position. And I was hired.
So how did you start going to Restoration Church?
Well, that is a good question. So I have known about Restoration Church. So it's kind of it's a funny story because my ex mother-in-law used to attend Restoration Church before she passed away. So she had tried to get me to come to Restoration Church for a long time, and at that point in my life, I was not really uh, receptive to that. So I had met Pastor Nate at her funeral. So, but the real reason why I went to Restoration Church was Michelle, your mom, had invited us all to come to church she was preaching on the mental health series, I believe it was called. And none of us showed up. And so, but she she told us that it was online, so we all pulled it up online and we all started watching it. And we were razzing her and just giving her a hard time about it. And but she had planted a seed in my head. And how I started going to church, I believe God told me to go to church that day. So I was eating breakfast with an old roommate of mine, and like something told me, and I believe it's God now, but something told me that I needed to go to church that day. So I texted your mother and I said, "Hey, what time is the service?" And she told me, and I, hurried up and got over there. And the first message I heard was about the prodigal son. It was exactly what I needed to hear. And yeah, so that's how I attended the first Restoration Church service I attended was at the 11:15 service.
So how has serving God changed your life?
Oh, So I used to be a pretty mean person, right? I was very selfish, and I very much all about Josh, and so and I used to swear a lot, and I used to talk really bad things, and I was very self-centered. So I was very much about myself, and I if you stood in my way, I'd either uh, try to intimidate you, or I would physically hurt you, if you know. And so what God has done is He has softened my heart. um, he has allowed me to see that I am not the person I thought I was, and um, he's brought a lot of joy and a lot of happiness in my heart. I still deal with a lot of uh, wreckage, as we call it, from my past, but with the guidance I get from God by serving Him, I'm able to to work through that and not get overwhelmed. There was times in my life recently where within the last couple of years or last year, where I was super overwhelmed, but I always felt this ease once I knew God was beside me, and I've been able to serve uh, service work within my recovery community. I've, so I would say that I'm more about other people than about me now.
So if you were to give one piece of advice that for the people that are watching that are feeling hopeless, what would you give them?
That hope is there. Hope is there. It might not seem it right now. It might not seem it like the, I mean, a lot of people. I was hopeless. I felt very hopeless to the point where I wanted to end my life. Right. And what I would tell people is that um, there's life beyond the mess, and that they could always reach out to SOS. If they're struggling with recovery, they could always come to Restoration Church if they're hurting in their soul. Um, and I'll tell you, like, I've made this joke with your dad before, that I believe that God hangs out at Restoration Church, because a lot of people that I've brought to the church has felt him. And I think that what they need to do, the people that are feeling hopeless, just reach out to somebody and talk to somebody. And because at one point in my life, I didn't think anybody cared about me. And especially once I realized that I always had one number one fan, and that was God. During all my times, you don't ever feel alone anymore. Even when you're by yourself, you're not alone. You're never really truly by yourself. So my advice would be to reach out to somebody, talk to somebody, let somebody know how you're feeling. Um, because when nobody, we're not mind readers, right? So we can't, if somebody's feeling a certain kind of way, we don't know if they're feeling that kind of way until they speak up. So I would just recommend speaking up and let people know how you feel.
So when my mom was talking to you about SOS, did you think she was crazy?
So I met your mom because we took a class together originally. So do I think your mom's crazy? I do, but it has nothing to do with SOS. No, I think your mom's great. When she was talking about church, I thought she was crazy. I thought, like, and I was kind of really disappointed, if I'm going to be honest, when she told me she was a pastor's wife. I was like, oh, and I thought this chick was cool. You know what I mean? Like, and I was just kind of really upset that, I felt like I had this like whole preconceived notion of what Christians were like, and so like, but she broke down that barrier also. So she like showed, hey, listen, Christians are cool, and because your mom's pretty rad, to be honest, right? And so it's like it's just really cool, and your father is too. So it really I think they're a real power couple when it comes to people that are kind of tiptoeing with Christianity or even have like negative thoughts about Christianity, because you can find these two people that are really down to earth and that really generally care about people there, and they're not selfish, self-seeking at all. And it's just really, I think uh, they show a really good example of what Christianity is all about.
So I'll add a question. I gotta think of one.
It's all good, buddy.
So when you first met my dad, what were your like reactions when you saw him?
Okay, so I like I said, I met your dad over at my ex mother-in-law's funeral, and I thought he was very kind. He was very nice, but I don't. So the first time I really truly remember meeting your dad was over at the flight when they were doing so all I know, there was free coffee. That's why I was there for the free coffee. I think the worship band was playing too, but I didn't stick around for that. But and I just remember him just like your dad has this presence about him that like makes you feel so at ease. And he's just like so like you can tell in his eyes when you look in his eyes that he truly cares. And like that is something that like your dad's just a really solid person, and I'm just very fortunate that I've been able to cross paths with him, and that I can call him my friend too.
So is there anything that you would like to share with everybody here right now?
I would just share that I'll say it like this. So during COVID, we were having a really hard time with going to church. We were watching it online. We weren't going there. But I will say that like the community is important. Community is important, and I understand completely, 100%, because I was there, of not going to church because of COVID. All right, but I also know that there is a certain kind of feeling you get when you walk into church and you're surrounded by your people, right? And you're loved up on. And I just think that if somebody's feeling really disconnected, to reach out to your dad, uh, you know, uh, because he has a way to talk to you and to explain things to you where you're not feeling judged. And I think it's just so I would just say that if you're feeling disconnected, reach out. Like if you're feeling like you're hopeless, like we said earlier, reach out. Just reach out to somebody. You don't have to do this alone. We don't do it alone. We don't have to.
So to end it, I'm gonna add my email. So anybody here that wants to get interviewed, just email me and I can reach out. So Josh, thank you for joining me, and thank you everybody here for watching. And if you guys want to get interviewed, you can just email me. That's my email. So see you guys in the next interview.